Hello guys, today I went to see Transformers: The Last Night. Now I've had all evening to kind of let my thoughts coalesce and formulate my opinions and write down my notes and really examine everything that happened in this movie, but I will go ahead and cut to the chase so I can go straight into spoiler stuff. This movie sucked! Oh no, like that shouldn't be a surprise at this point, you know? Everyone keeps saying, oh, the Transformer movies, they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. No, I would argue that point, and my argument is Revenge of the Fallen. You will not shake me as the worst Transformers movie of them all. Yeah, Devastator balls, that's all I have to say. And Skids and Mudflap, I'll say that too. But, yeah, this was not good. This was not good at all. I've got a lot to get through, so we'll just go ahead and say this is going to be spoiler-filled because I have a lot to rant about here, and I don't know how many times I'm going to get to rant about it, but I know everyone's going to ask, so here we go! Alright, so it is hell on Earth. There's wreckage of Transformer attacks everywhere. They keep falling from space, so you've got new Autobots, new Decepticons, and the whole thing in the last movie about, no, there's no more Transformers. We're the last 5 Autobots. That's absolute crap. Wheelie comes back in this movie. Topspin comes back in this movie, but they gave him his wrong head, so he looks really weird. So there are other Autobots on here, as well as some new recruits that were always on Earth, and they just showed up now. I don't know why they never answered Optimus's call. They seem to respect the guy. They just never showed up. But yeah, you've got Cade Yeager's return. He's kind of this rebel guy going around saving Transformers, and he gets this magic little talisman from a fallen, very knighty Transformer. Kind of looks like the Steelbane toy we got going on now, which is apparently really important. Even the Decepticons know about this talisman thing that he's got. And it's this really weird crawly thing that kind of crawls around and like stops bullets. Like it crawls around to where he's about to get hit and stops bullets and things. And it's a Michael Bay movie, so imagine the joke that they could make with that. Oh yeah, they went there because, hey, frat boy humor. So yeah, he picks up the little girl after the U.S. military completely kills her Autobot buddy Canopy. The first in a long-running tradition in this movie of coming up with really, really awful Autobot names, awful Transformer names in general, because later on we're going to meet a bot called Day Trader, who is literally a day trader, and Dreadbot, who is a dreadful bot. That's all we got. I don't know why Transformers get really bad names in the movies. They just do. So the storyline is that apparently Transformers were always here on Earth. You know, we saw that in the last movie. They were in dinosaur times, but no, they were in different wars. You know, they were in different conflicts throughout history. They were in World War II. Bumblebee and Hot Rod were just like shooting up Nazis in World War II, because why not? Yeah, and then they were in medieval times where apparently King Arthur is real and magic is just Transformer-y stuff. It plays to the Knights of the Round Table, 12 Knights of Cybertron. So you got swords and sorcery and nonsense, and it's all just Cybertronian technology that we don't really have to explain. It just does stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So it's basically magic. That's basically how they do magic in fiction. We don't have to explain it. It's magic. No, we don't have to explain it. It's from Cybertron. So that's what Anthony Hopkins' character is in this movie. He's just rambles on and on about the history of Transformers on Earth and the secret society to keep them secret and protect all the secrets of the staff. The staff that is apparently this magic MacGuffin of this movie that could either wipe out Earth or restore Cybertron, or maybe both. It's not really clear. We just know that the thing is really, really powerful, and it's used as a big key for a big energy suction device. Because, hey, Revenge of the Fallen didn't do that plot well enough. We gotta have another magic key for another energy-sucking device. And we have to bring Cybertron next to Earth in order to use it again, so we have to bring that back from Dark of the Moon. So we're not getting any real original plot points in this movie. Oh, and the reason, speaking of, it turns out the reason that Transformer stuff keeps falling on Earth, same reason as Transformers Prime. Earth is Unicron. Now, that does not come into play at any real point in this movie. It's a thread left for the sequel, because good lord, there's going to be a 6th one, and like a 7th one, and an 8th one, and that doesn't include the Bumblebee movie. You got a lot of build-up to something that really isn't explained. You know, the name Unicron is said with dread and just menace, as this is a horrible thing, but they never really explain what Unicron is. It's like Unicron is just a bunch of horns coming up from the Earth's surface, and the way they explain it in the movie is, well, they're coming up in random spots all across the world, but if you look at how they would have been in like ancient times, when it was Pangea and everything was one continent, they all form a circle, so it's like Unicron's maw, except that implies that Unicron's teeth float with the continents as they drifted apart, and they weren't just like, you know, part of the core, you know, like when you get down to it, the stuff we live on really isn't all that deep, okay, compared to how deep the Earth is, where, you know, Unicron would be. So this baffled me. It's like, this made absolutely no sense why all these horns drifted around the planet. They just did it so they could set up a final battle at Stonehenge, because hey, every movie has to have something unexplained that happened on Earth be the result of a Transformer, whether it's the dinosaurs going extinct, or whether it's King Arthur and Merlin, or in this case, well, what's Stonehenge? Stonehenge is the marker for Unicron's mouth. That's basically what they have come to. So, Unicron is mentioned. It's mentioned in Dread, but it's never really explained. Optimus at one time reacts to the name as the enemy of our planet. Well, Cybertron's had a lot of enemies over the years, so we've had whole movies based on Cybertron's enemies, so you have to be a little bit more specific than that. Please tell me why this is any worse than, like, The Fallen, or any worse than Kelsey Grammer's character, for crying out loud. It never really accomplishes anything. It's just there, and you only know about it, you only really resonate to it if you're a Transformers fan, and these are for casual fans who only know the movies, so this just went nowhere. Speaking of going nowhere, I mentioned all the new Decepticons we got in the movie. Here's the weird thing about this. So Megatron looks cool, he's voiced by Frank Welker, so all is right in the world there. You have a whole bunch of new Decepticons, whether they were captured previously and not melted down by Cemetery Wind, and you have a whole bunch of, or maybe just new arrivals. So you've got a whole cast of Decepticons that Megatron apparently knows by name very well, but does not actually, it has not needed to this point. So you got Mohawk, who's a little hyperactive and kill-crazed little motorcycle guy. You've got Dreadbot. Love these names, movie. Dreadbot, who is just, he's one of the Dreads, kind of remodels one of the Dreads from the second movie. But now he turns into a rusty Volkswagen microbus. Dread. You've got Nitro, who actually gets to show some personality. I kind of liked Nitro when he was leaving his little prison. Except his name is Nitro Zeus, and I don't know how a Transformer gets named after a Greek god, or why Zeus needs to be nitrous charged, but apparently he is. So, whatever. He's kind of okay. I kind of don't mind him so much. At least he's a new character model, unlike Onslaught, who is just long haul with a few new changes. I think even the head is exactly the same. They depict him as a different vehicle entirely, but it's totally Long Haul's body again. See, who else was in there? I know I'm going to forget somebody, because here's the thing. The Decepticon cast were given little, like, almost Suicide Squad style recruitment spots where their names showed up on screen and they closed it up on their face, so they kind of took some effort to actually introduce you to the Decepticons and show them as actual characters, which was really weird for one of these movies to do. They've never done this, so it was kind of out of place. But also kind of appreciated because it is more than they ever gave the Decepticons to do in the first place. So that was actually nice. And then they had one skirmish with the Autobots, and all of that went away. Like, they got one fight with the Autobots where you got to see a little bit of their personality, and then they just show up for the final fight where they're all blank slates just shooting at things. Of course, in a Michael Bay movie, every third act is just people just shooting at things. You know, so kind of like, it's like one step forward, two step backward situation. So we almost had Decepticons that were interesting, but we couldn't allow that. We did get Barricade back, like no explanation why he has survived as many times as he has. Disappeared in movie 1, no showed in movie 2. Looked like he was dying in movie 3. I don't know how he got away. He did. So now he's in movie 5. I'm not a big fan of the design, but at least he's distinct. At least I can tell what robot is Barricade in this movie. That's some kind of improvement. Going with the other names, the one that you might have seen toys of, Infernocus. Great names again. That one's one vowel away from being cool. Infernicus might work. Infernocus is just a really awkward name that just crashes to a halt right there at the end. You know, so he's in the movie, which kind of surprised me. Which felt like, hey, we're gonna repaint these. Just throw it in the movie and we'll just do whatever to make it work. He's just there. He's just there for Optimus to have someone to hack up in the third act. So not a big deal really. They ruined him right away because when you first see the Infernocons, I guess you call them, they were already combined into Infernocus, and then they walk along with Megatron, and they all fall apart into their separate robots. And then about 2 minutes later, Megatron orders them to combine and attack, and then they all form up into Infernocus again, completely killing the suspense, completely killing the surprise of that whole combining element. So, good job on you there, movie. I think that's most of the Decepticon cast. I feel like I'm forgetting someone, because they ripped through a whole bunch of Decepticon names in there. Oh, there was Berserker. You know, the one you can actually find on the toy shelf right now. Great thing about him, he's in the movie for like 3 seconds. He's just another Dread from the second movie. You see him in his holding cell for just a brief little while. I keep saying the second movie. Now I can't remember if the Dreads were second or third movie. And now I remember I don't care. So let's just move on. The Decepticons, about as disappointing as they've ever been in one of these movies. And then that moves me to the Autobots, where Optimus Prime just sits most of the movie out because he's off on Cybertron doing his thing with his creator, Quintessa. And Quintessa, that's something from the original Transformers series. Like, that's the name of the Quintesson's planet. So we got a Quintesson in the movie. Not really. Like, not really. We have this very vague, unexplained metal alien lady who's all tendrils. So she's kind of like a Quintesson, but she only has one face. So why you have the name Quint in there is just fan service. But I don't know why you put in fan service when it doesn't match what the fans know. And my eyes are starting to go cross. I better move on. So yeah, she's the one moving Cybertron toward Earth because she wants to siphon out Unicron's energy into Cybertron to rebuild it. That's what they need the spear or the scepter for. So she captures Optimus Prime, brainwashes him, dubs him Nemesis Prime because, hey, we got to keep that trademark alive. And like, they really committed to that. Like, there's even a scene like mid-battle where Optimus is just standing there, like, beating up I think Bumblebee, going, "I am Nemesis Prime." Gah! Like, give credit to Peter Cullen. Like, he's trying. He's not given much, but the man's trying. And that goes on. He does get the brainwashing cleared up. In a very Batman Superman way. It's not like he shouted like, It's not like Bumblebee shouted Quintessa and Robin went, wait, that's my creator's name too. No kidding, we have the same creator, you idiot. No, this was Bumblebee forcing himself to talk in his original voice, which breaks Optimus's concentration. You know, oh, I haven't heard that voice since before Cybertron fell. And I'm like, movie one, like the first movie, you heard it. Like he asked permission to speak and everything. Like this wasn't a new thing. This wasn't a shocking revelation. We knew Bumblebee could talk in movie one, and you heard him talk in movie one. So that made my head hurt, but at least Bumblebee's talking again. I really want that radio gimmick to go away because I think it's hindering him way more than it's helping him at this point. It's not cute or endearing. It's really hard to hear and understand what he's saying because it's all just gibberish that's in random little clips, and I'm sick of hearing it. Speaking of gibberish in random little clips, we also had the new Autobot, Squeaks, who's getting a whole bunch of toys. He's getting this really big, expensive RC toys so you can drive around your little Squeaks figure. Squeaks is absolutely useless to the movie. He blows up one turret in the movie that was apparently causing all the problems in the third act, and that is literally all he really accomplishes in the movie. He's got these big headlight eyes, so you'd think he'd be nice and expressive, but he really isn't. His face just kind of oscillates and wiggles around, and when he's squeaking, he makes mini-con noises like Armada Energon style, bleeps bloops kind of noises, and it's not endearing. It's not cute. I genuinely don't see why the character existed, if only just to make a cutesy character and try. We really want our own R2-D2. That's really what it comes down to. We really want our own R2-D2. This ain't it. This so is not it. That got on my nerves. See who else. We've got Hound back, who did have some good moments with Cade. I always say, like, Cade, I think, is a much better fit for these movies than, say, Shia LaBeouf, who's just too freaking whiny. For a big action movie that's all about shooting and explosions and all this, I think Mark Wahlberg does a much better job being an action hero. He's kind of badass in this movie, just like single-wielding these pistols that can wipe out or like severely damage Decepticons. Kind of weird considering, movie one they couldn't scratch them, and now it just seems like normal bullets do all the damage in the world. So we kind of forgot all those plot points too. Not a surprise, really. So you've got Cade Yeager, and he's on the run now. He's a fugitive in this movie. So there's this little scene where he gets to not talk to his daughter, but he's got like 20 seconds just to hear his daughter report from college. And he can't speak because they'll track the number, and they can't be on for more than 20 seconds because they'll track the number. And Hound's the one helping him do this, and he's like tries to pep Cade up, like, you can, you're a good father, Cade, don't forget it. And it's like this Hound continues to be like the kind of like good uncle / like almost fatherly type. He in the Autobots he's like that really cool uncle who owns a really big gun cabinet, essentially. So he still plays just like the middleman. He's still the cool Autobot that keeps everyone else calmed down when Optimus isn't around, which is a lot, apparently. Optimus is around about as much as Goku in Dragon Ball Z at this point. But again, he doesn't really do a whole lot in the movie until there's something to shoot. But at least he shows a little bit of character. It's more than I can say for Drift and Crosshairs. They are back, and Drift has his little Zen thing. He balances on his swords and all this, and it's, I don't know, it's supposed to be like a future samurai-y thing. Doesn't really amount to anything in the movie. He's just there to shoot things. And Crosshairs, same way. He's still his little schemey self. Like, he really wants to be in charge of the Autobots. And that's about all he does. And he doesn't really get many times to shine after that. So, Drift and Crosshairs, I genuinely don't think you really needed them in the movie. Like, even the first skirmish with the Decepticons, where they do get some fighting in, it's Cade's traps. He's trapped this entire town with explosives. I don't know how. He just did. Don't question it. He just did. He booby-trapped an entire town to explode. Just go with it. So that's what drove off the Decepticons in the first battle scene of the movie. So really, like, I don't know what Drift and Crosshairs were doing. They didn't do much. Other returning Autobots, we had Grimlock, who got a kind of funny scene, but you saw all of it in the trailer where he's like acting like a junkyard dog, chewing on the cars and everything. And Slug shows up for like 4 seconds. Like, he does not really accomplish much of anything. There's no strafe, and none of the Dinobots transform. That includes the mini Dinobots that they've made like whole videos about. Aren't these little adorable, tiny little Dinobots? They don't explain why there's baby Dinobots around. They don't explain where they came from. They don't explain what they're for. There's this cutesy little scene where Mini Grimlock sets a curtain on fire because now he learned how to. He's like a Pokemon where he just learned Ember, so now he's showing off that he can use Ember, and that's supposed to be cute, but no, they hang out with the Isabella, the little girl, the tough little girl that we're in the human cast now. And once they leave the junkyard, no more Dinobots. You know, planet Cybertron's about to crash into Earth. You know, there's a huge battle with a bunch of Decepticons. We can't really foresee the need for giant freaking Dinobots to come help. So they amounted to nothing. Great, thank you very much. I don't even know why. I think they repainted Strafe for this movie line toy. Strafe's not in the movie anywhere. I don't know why they bothered. He might have been flying around the junkyard. I honestly can't remember. It's like such a brief little thing. Beyond that, see, I think that's all the returning Autobots. You know, outside like Topspin and Wheelie. I will admit I kind of liked seeing Wheelie again, knowing he survived movie 3. You know, he's still his little wisecracking self. So I would have never been too down on that Wheelie. The new ones, there's Hot Rod, who got some cool moments, you know, but he again doesn't show more than anything the other Autobots did in the previous movies because, hey, Autobots are just these really big set pieces, these really big special effects, and they're here for the battle scenes, and we can't really be bothered to give them any kind of characterization. Now, can we? Hot Rod's character seemed to be boiled down to he has a French accent, and he fought in World War II. That's about all I got from him. He seemed to have the personality and the style of Transformers Cybertron, where we can't really be bothered to give him actual personality, so we're just going to give him an accent and hope for the best. And it seemed to be a French accent just because it was funny to hear someone with a French accent say Hot Rod. That's literally the only reason I could find in the entire movie for why they did that. I don't know. I don't understand. So I think, you know, that's pretty much your Transformers cast, aside from Cogman, who was basically the butler to Anthony Hopkins' character, Mr. Rambly History. I'm here just to deliver backstory and exposition. But Cogman was actually kind of cool. I kind of liked Cogman. It was kind of fun to watch him do his thing, I guess. You know, be like the super butler who also can shoot missiles out of his mouth on occasion, should he need to. Never transforms, even though he is described, just like the toy, he is described as a headmaster. And hearing Sir Anthony Hopkins say headmaster is really weird. Not going to lie. Worlds are colliding in my mind, and I'm not sure if I can accept it or not, but that's the situation I'm in. So you have that going on too, and Cogman's fine. I think Cogman is probably my favorite new Transformer from any of these. I hope he shows up in a future movie, just because, no. This one I think had a little bit to him, and we never got to see him transform, so I kind of want to see him, like, get big, go with the full-size Autobots. But Transformers in this movie are pretty much Transformers from any of the other movies that you saw. They don't show up very often. They don't get a whole lot of time for characterization, and when they do, it's little bits of cool stuff that you might really find that will stick out in your memory. Like Bumblebee does this really cool thing now, where like even if he gets blown up, he can like pull himself back together. Movie 1 Jazz is furious at that trick, by the way. Where the hell was that when he was getting ripped in half? But it's a cool little trick. It comes into play more than once in the movie, so at least they didn't just do it and then forget about it. So you at least have that. You know, and speaking of those cool little tricks, for some reason Megatron transforms like a normal Transformer again, even though even though in like movie 3 his new body could do that whole breaking down into molecule thing. So that's pretty much the Transformer cast. On the human side, you did have Lennox come back. He had a rival now who just fired indiscriminately on Transformers. He just call them all Decepticons and let Primus sort them out. And they have this little feud rivalry thing until, you know, final climax. Now everyone's with the Autobots, so they're like, oh, you're right, I'm a douche. It's predictable. But at the very least, I was happy to see that there were military forces who were on the Autobots' side, because that's what I hated about the last movie. It just seemed like everyone was kicking the Autobots, even though they aren't the bad guys here. Like, I don't like seeing my heroes torn down. I don't like seeing good guys fighting good guys because differences. It's one reason why I couldn't stand the IDW crossover stuff they were doing with G.I. Joe and Transformers for the longest time. It's like all the people I want to see fighting together are fighting amongst themselves for no reason. So it was nice to see that there were good humans on the Autobot side actively helping them out. More Shower was back. Even though Nest seems to be completely gone, a lot of people from Nest actually seem to be active, including Lennox, which I don't know why he was allowed on the new team. I want to say the TRE, if I wrote it down, no, TRF. Notes. TRF, which is the new Transformers task force that the government has. I don't know why it changes every movie. Like, Sector 7 handles Transformers for as long as they know of their existence, and then as soon as one thing goes wrong, they flush all of the experts out and create Nest instead. And Nest is fine for 2 movies, outside of, hey, all the experts, the people who knew Transformers best within the government, are now all jobless, and I don't know why. They were doing fine, and then Chicago happened, to get rid of Nest, and now we have Cemetery Wind, who is just, let's kill them all and melt them down. And Cemetery Wind got found out and moved them out, and now we have the TRF. I'm not even sure what TRF stands for, like Transformers Resistance Force. I'm sure there's something that makes sense, but it's just weird that we flush the experts out every single incident and put in a whole bunch of people who have to go through the exact same learning curve. This doesn't make sense to me. You'd think you'd want to keep all of your experts in one basket. No, we can't have that. So yeah, new task force. They eventually come to the Transformers side, so not a big deal there. But God, they are responsible for like one of the worst filler scenes in the entire movie, where unfortunately, where for some, like, one of the plot points is our human cast has to go down to this sunken Autobot ship. This is where Merlin is buried. Merlin's buried in an Autobot ship because, and the staff is down there, so they have to go down there. So they get in a submarine that's apparently a transformer, because it moves on its own and it makes those little Cybertron-y noises when it activates. But it never transforms, it never speaks, so you don't know. It could be Tidal Wave, it could be Nautica, it could be Broadside. I don't know. What I do know is that it's so good as a submarine, it can do a 360 in the water and come down and ram a chasing submarine for reasons. That was like the jump the shark moment of this one. Like, at least its jump the shark moment was actually in the water for starters. Fair point. But at least this one wasn't like right at the beginning of the movie. Like, Age of Extinction did it when a rally car driver drop kicked a guy in the head with a tire of his car without just like plain decapitating him, which would happen in real life. So that was the moment where it was like, I'm out. No, gone too far now. No, so flipping the submarine. That is the shark jumping moment of this movie. But the submarine sequence is like 15 minutes that had absolutely no purpose. There's so much stock footage of military getting ready, suiting up. Let's get the submarines in the water. Let's show everyone getting submarines. Let's show pointless scenes of soldiers loading guns. Because, I have to see that, or else I would assume that the soldiers all took unloaded weapons with them to go fight the Transformers. I would naturally assume that they would just go in with all the guns in the world and not one bullet in any of them. That makes sense, right? It makes perfect little sense. Okay, so they show so many scenes of soldiers getting ready to do stuff instead of just showing them do stuff and just getting to the point of it. This movie was about 30 minutes inflated just because Michael Bay loves his military stock footage. So you have this chase scene underwater, submarine flip, but there are also these little chase submarines. That's where Lennox and his team are. They go down to the ship where the 12 Transformer Knights are resting, where the staff is resting, and I don't know. This was a weird segment. It's because the new girl in the movie, and I have to remember her name, Vivian, I think it is. Which is really weird to hear Optimus scream the name Vivian in mid-battle like it's the most imperative thing in the world. And the sad thing is, it is the most imperative thing in the world because she is a direct descendant of Merlin, who was given the staff by the ancient 12 Transformers. They're the ones who turned into that big dragon made of brambles that you've seen in some of the trailers. Those were the ones that he was given the staff. So it's DNA coded to him, and she's a descendant of Merlin. This movie makes my head hurt. So they need her to go get the staff because she's the only one who can activate it. And same in the final scene when it's actually being active and all the energy is being sucked out of Unicron and into Cybertron. She's the one that has to get it because she's the only one other than Quintessa that the staff will respond to. Okay, this is a really weird plot point. This felt like Michael Bay can't just show a girl in cleavage and really hot slow motion shots with really tight shorts, her butt's out like this, and her chest is out at the same time. So it felt like we can't do that anymore, so this gives the girl something very vital to do to the plot. I'm not against that. What I am against is they forced another really contrived romance into this movie, where her and Cade developed a thing in the course of 12 hours, I think. Like, this went about as fast as a Disney relationship. I don't know. But her character isn't bad. Her character, as I describe as... She's basically Transformers' version of Lara Croft. But at least she is actually useful for the final act of the movie. Unlike... I'm losing track of names. Isabella. Isabella is completely pointless in the final act of the movie. She's there to tell Squeaks what to do, because we've already established Squeaks is kind of pointless to the final act of the movie. That whole section could have just been done away with. Her character in general might have been able to be done away with. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. She really didn't accomplish a lot. Final act is what you'd expect. Quintessa is siphoning the planet. Giant explosions. Giant fights. Big dragon, who, now that I think of it, really doesn't do as much as he should have done. He wipes out a bunch of the generic Decepticons that Quintessa had, but he doesn't really do a whole lot of fighting. You'd think 12 Knights of Cybertron could have put up a pretty good fight and made a good action scene. Not really. You think a three-headed dragon made of spikes would be a good action scene. He doesn't really do a whole lot, honestly. Beyond that, you get Optimus and Megatron with a little bit of skirmish. He kicks him through Cybertron, which is strangely fitting of Rodimus and chucking Galvatron through Unicron's side. Probably not an intentional homage, but it was there. I think a bunch of the Decepticons got away. I think Nitro got killed, Nohawk got killed. I don't know what happened to the rest. I hope they slithered away, because I'm kind of sick of replacing the Decepticon cast every single movie. And then Quintessa gets away because she disguises herself as a human on Earth, and apparently has another way that she can destroy Unicron. Because this was a twofold plan. Save Cybertron, destroy Unicron. But it would also come at the cost of, a few billion humans. So, I don't know what the next movie. There's a lot of things that were supposed to lead up to movie number 6. I've seen the box office returns so far for this movie. I'm not sure number 6 will be happening. Well, it'll probably be happening. What am I talking about? But I don't know. This movie was all over the place, man. There were so many weird things in there. Like, they established that Cuba's like the one place where Transformers get to freely hang out and they are not illegal. So Simmons is there hanging out with Topspin, which is weird. And because it's Simmons, they have to give him another line where he has to mention the word scrotum. Screw you, Michael Bay. That was terrible the first time. Why did you remind me of Revenge of the Fallen? Bad. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Okay, so am I forgetting anything else? Because this is running long as it is. I'm just ranting at this point. Maybe Nemesis, Contessa, Infernicus. Here's the thing about the yeah, I'm just staring at this. I probably should have had it on my. Probably should have just had it on the phone just so I could stare at it. I'm gonna forget something. I'll tell you this much right now. Over at tfw2005.com, I'm gonna record a podcast with Vangelis, my co-host Aaron, and the odd-numbered host Seth. So it's the whole crew talking about this movie as a big roundtable. I'll probably come up with a lot more thoughts there. So keep an eye out on my Twitter. I will link it when that is ready. And then if I have more thoughts than this, I will expound upon them there. The one thing I took away from the movie is that they didn't fix anything. So the planet's still screwed. Because like Cybertron didn't just get like near Earth, it collided with Earth. Like those big chunks that were just hanging on by big cables, they're literally literally grind. You know, you literally see them grinding like canyons through cities on the planet. It's like, so Cybertron is currently falling apart and anchored to Earth, but it's not siphoning energy out. So we just cut to the end, and once again, it was one of those weird Transformers endings where like 2 minutes of ending, 2 minutes of denouement for this 2.5 hour waste of my time. I don't know why Bay does that, but does it all the time. Drives me nuts. I want to see what happened. I kind of want to see, you know, if Cade and Vivian get together. Like, oh, they got together, but you know, there's this girl who's an orphan, and you know, she watched Canopy die, who was apparently her like only one she thought was family. Sorry, Squeaks. So like, does she get adopted? Is Isabella like Jaeger Jr. now? I don't know. Like, that's the kind of stuff. It's like, I'd like to see them like go home and know that like the hero is no longer a wanted criminal, like full pardon and all that because he saved the Earth. A new member of the family, new family in general. A little bit of happily ever after is all I'm asking here. Instead, we leave on the site of Cybertron still half crashed into Earth, which throws off tectonic plates, throws off the tidal system. We might be talking about slowing the planet's orbit or slowing the rotation of the planet and all these other catastrophic things that a massive metal planet, a massive source of gravity, would do if it was touching our planet. So I don't know. I think that it felt like we were just as doomed as when the planet was getting sucked dry, because it's not like they showed the planet getting sucked dry, trees withering, oceans like draining or anything like that. No, it's just some science guy at NASA going, "This is bad. This is really bad, you guys. You're doing like mumbo jumbo stuff, and you're like fairy tales in order to fix it. And I've got science. I'm gonna fix it with science, and science doesn't fix it." And then he just spends the rest of the movie going. And that's about as much peril as we saw the planet in. So, yeah, I probably got more thoughts on this when we get to the round table. They probably got things that I didn't pick up on. This movie is... it flows exactly like a Transformer movie does. So, if you know what you have going in, there's parts of it that are enjoyable. There's little moments you can take away from it. In general, it's just as sloppy and wrecked as most of the movies are. It's just as predictable. It's plotted out the exact same way. There's nothing new to this movie, unfortunately. It's just... another Transformer movie, and not even a particularly well done one. For me, this is like second worst on the list, somewhere between Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen, right there at the bottom. So I still hope for a decent one. Please, please God, get rid of Michael Bay so we can actually have a good director come in, see what a good Transformer movie looks like, because I haven't seen one since 1986. So that is my thoughts here. Like I said, stay tuned for the podcast if you want some further thoughts and to hear me go and share these thoughts, popular or not, with the rest of the crew. We all saw it. We're all going to have opinions, and it should be interesting to listen to. So until then, guys, thank you for watching. Avoid this movie, guys. You really don't need to get into this one. It's the same tripe you've seen 4 times over right now. Just go read the summary on Wiki. You'll do fine and save you the money.